Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Marik. I'm a staff writer at Inside Nebraska, part of the Rivals.com network. And that man over there, he is Jay Foreman, our NFL veteran and former Nebraska Blackshirt. Jay, we don't need to talk about the wind and the cold. It's single digits here in Nebraska. Let's cut to the chase and talk about Nebraska's new quarterback coach, Glenn Thomas. He spent 2023 this past season in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers as an offensive assistant. Worked for Matt Rhule for a combined 5 years, starting at Temple and then
Right.
Baylor. Plenty of NFL experience here. But Jay, take it away. What are your original reactions to Glenn Thomas being selected by Matt Rhule to lead the quarterback room?
Well, I think it's a good get. I mean, look, when you got high profile recruit, in Dylan Raiola coming in along with Daniel Kalen, then you got Heinrich Harburg, who Matt Rhule and staff and the offensive staff, have had a affinity for, since they've been here, which has obviously been a short time, but they like his attributes and mental makeup of what he has, and obviously you've seen it at times be on display. As a staff, it just seemed to look like they needed to really have somebody to have specific eyes on the most important position on the team, and especially with a young quarterback room. Even Heinrich Hartberg, who's been in Lincoln for well over 2 years, is still a very green quarterback because he had a
Mm-hmm.
whole year where he wasn't getting coached, and so he was a freshman last year, and a freshman in a new system, new coaching staff, new era in football. So he's no different than Dylan and Daniel, in a lot of sense. And so they went out and got a guy that obviously Coach Rhule has a familiar, a little familiar background with.
Mm-hmm.
Coached with him for 5 years, and then he's obviously was able to, go on to the pro ranks. So I like it that he has experience in both, and he's seen a lot. And obviously there's it used to be, in my opinion, that the pro game and the college game was so different. Now you've seen over the last probably 5 or 6 years, maybe even a little bit, more, that the pros have came down and really sat in with a lot of college coaches to see, how to attack defenses. Obviously, with the rules changing on defense, you can be more aggressive. And so how does that, bode well for Nebraska and Coach Thomas is that he's seen the growth of offenses and what quarterbacks are asked to do at both levels. He's seen it at the highest level at the pros. He's seen it when he's seen quarterbacks play well, seen it when they haven't played well. He's seen new schemes and ideas and defenses as well. And you need that when you're coming into the Big Ten, not only from a acumen standpoint, but from a coaching standpoint. So there's not going to be too much that he hadn't seen before, and he's bringing some very detailed ideas and strategic training tips and everything, and coaching tips from the highest level. And he's had to coach a variety of different quarterbacks. If you just look at the who he's coached this year at Pittsburgh, where he had Pickett, who was a first round pick, playing pretty decent. Pittsburgh was starting to get on the mend. He gets hurt. Trubisky comes in. He's more of like a RPO guy. Whether he's the starter or not, obviously he got replaced. And then you have to do a little rehab project and on the fly with Mason Rudolph. And so whether you're named the quarterback coach or offensive assistant, you're doing a lot of work and a lot of coaching at the NFL level. I know that from experience. And the simple fact that, the University of Washington coach, Jed Fish, was our assistant linebacker coach. So, he was in there coaching me just as much as Reggie Herring. So, with that being said, I think Coach Thomas comes with pretty good resume, really good results, and also I think it's a great opportunity for him to come in and mold a quarterback or quarterbacks, and even Heinrich Harburg as well. And then also on the flip side, it gives Marcus Satterfield a little bit of a lesser role.
Mm-hmm.
And tight end is an extremely hard position. I mean, extremely important position, but those guys have played before. I think Marcus Satterfield has had success coaching at tight ends before. I think it's a little bit along the lines of what he did at South Carolina, and also the things that he was able to do with some of the tight ends at South Carolina. I think that he'll be able to do in this year, coaching them specifically. But then, more importantly, allow him to take maybe a top-down view of the offense and be able to just mainly focus on calling the plays. And I'm sure, Josh Martin will go back to being, his assistant. So there's continuity there. But then also, I think, look at when you think of it, if you want to make transition easier for a quarterback coming back in Heinrich Harburg and two freshmen coming in, develop and feature that tight end position because they're the ultimate equalizer and they all have size and potential and speed. And we got three really good, prospects coming in at the tight end position. And so to make their transition a little bit faster, you got the offensive coordinator there. So I think it's positive on both ends.
Just to break it down, everything in this has been confirmed by sources at Inside Nebraska. So Glenn Thomas hired to be the quarterback coach at Nebraska. So that moves Marcus Satterfield, who will still be the offensive coordinator. He's still calling plays. He's going to now coach tight ends. And so that in turn moves Josh Martin, who was an analyst that got bumped up to tight ends coach when Bob Wager left the program before fall camp. Josh Martin is now going to be an analyst again, just like he was when he came into the program. So good stuff on that end. Just a little bit more background on Glenn Thomas. Worked for Rhule for 5 years, like we talked about. 2015, he was Rhule's quarterback coach at Temple. 2016, he was promoted to offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. And both those years, he coached PJ Walker, which, you listen to Matt Rhule. He loves talking about PJ Walker, who was a really solid quarterback at Temple for Rhule back in the day. And then Glenn Thomas, when Matt Rhule got that Baylor job, he came along with him to Waco, and he was a co-offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for all 3 years in Waco with Matt Rhule. Yeah, that's where he coached quarterback Charlie Brewer as well. Just another solid college quarterback under Rhule's tutelage. So that's an good stuff. But then also the NFL experience, what I want to kind of dive into with you, Jay, a little bit more. From 2008 to 2014, he was in the Atlanta Falcons program. When they drafted Matt Ryan out of Boston College, Glenn Thomas was his very first quarterbacks coach. So, he's been around. Well, I guess he was an offensive assistant when Matt Ryan was drafted. But, Jay, what is it going to do for, you mentioned the young quarterback room at Nebraska with Dylan Raiola, Danny Kalen, and then Heinrich Harburg, who's been here for a little bit, to see a quarterback coach come in here, a new guy come in here, but also know that he's coached some really solid quarterbacks, including at the professional ranks with Matt Ryan, and then also at the college level with PJ Walker, and then Charlie Brewer. That's got to get you excited if you're a college quarterback at Nebraska, correct?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's probably part of the process of maybe what they were potentially being told when they were getting recruited. We're going to put you in the best position to be the best quarterback that you could be. And obviously, we've seen through the NFL playoffs, college football playoffs, bowl games, the quarterback position, how you develop the quarterback position really will give you a huge snapshot look into your program, right? The faster and better and more consistent you develop quarterbacks, the faster and more consistent you'll get the W's in the win column or and stuff like that. So if I'm a player, I'm excited because, I'm not going to underestimate the players that he's coached before, right? And just in the college level, PJ Walker, stud. Charlie Brewer, stud. Two different types of quarterbacks. So then therefore, if I'm a Heinrich Harburg, I'm feeling comfortable that I can get better because he's coached somebody like me. If I'm Dylan Raiola and Daniel Kalen, he's coached my type of quarterback, my type of style of quarterback as well. Then on top of it, he coached a Hall of Famer in Matt Ryan. One thing that, like I keep saying about the offensive assistant, a lot of times that relationship with the rookie is right along with the offensive assistant. So him and Matt Ryan, and for him to be there, Matt Ryan had to sign off on it. So he knows what a Hall of Fame quarterback looks like, what a really legit NFL quarterback looks like. There's a lot of NFL teams that wish Matt Ryan wasn't on TV. They wish that he was in the building. And then also he's going to teach them how to carry themselves too, on and off the field. And then, obviously throughout the early parts of their, career in life as well. So that you can't underestimate that as well. And so he's seen different defenses, different situations, what works, what doesn't work, the areas of where quarterbacks can improve the quickest, how to be more efficient. Man is well traveled, but then obviously he's been well respected and has a great resume. So I think it's a good gift for Nebraska, and I think it's good that you get Marcus Satterfield coaching the position. He's still calling the plays. He's going to be able to implement a system, and I think also it'll give, lessen a little bit load on Coach Rhule, even though Coach Rhule, kind of has his hands in everything, but it's somebody he trusts, right? Look, he's been with him 5 years. He's kept his eye on him. When they had to, felt like they, need to fill a serious need at a serious position. It's a perfect time. You're starting over with the quarterback position. Two very, very young guys and a guy that's extremely green in Heinrich Harburg. If I'm a quarterback coach, I'm excited. If I'm a quarterback in that room, I'm excited. But then as a Nebraska fan, you'd be excited too, because what you didn't want is a coach to stay pat. But then also you have to respect Coach Rhule. He wasn't impulsive, right? He sat back, let the emotion get out of the system, and really, looked at everything. Probably had some conversations with Marcus Satterfield, trying to let him do his job better. And we also saw an uptick in the way the offense looked when you had a Chuba Purdy in there, right? And so all three quarterbacks are more than capable of being at that level where Chuba played those last couple games, but then even exceeding that, twofold. So and then you get a quarterback coach in there, and you won't, ideally, those crucial mistakes, the situational football, right? At the end of the half, not throwing interceptions. At the end of a quarter, finishing a quarter strong. Clock management, rhythm, in and out of the huddle, taking command of the huddle. These are the things that people don't get excited about, but I do, because those are the things that do affect the game. The only way that I know, Steve, is because it affected me, because I was a defender. And
Yep.
I can tell the difference of a guy that commanded the huddle, got him in rhythm, gotten him out of rhythm. And those are usually the quarterbacks that played a long time, both and been successful at college and pros. And so ideally, hopefully Coach Thomas does that and everybody in there accepts his coaching. And, it's going to be one, like a hire that people can look back on, and it worked out for everybody.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Jay, as always. So, Nebraska football, they have a quarterback coach in Glenn Thomas. So, for Jay Foreman, I am Steve Marik, and that was a Black Shirt breakdown, Glenn Thomas style. We'll catch y'all later.